So today I'm going to be talking about feminism in digital space, and two examples that I'm going to talk about today are two different hashtags that I have seen circulating on Twitter. So the hashtags I'm going to be talking about are first, hashtag everydaysexism, and second, hashtag wheniwas. So as far as I know, both of these hashtags were created by the same Twitter user, and that is at everydaysexism. This account is pretty self-explanatory. They strive to point out sexism in everyday. So the first hashtag I'm going to talk about is hashtag everydaysexism, and this, much like the Twitter account, is just to share people's experiences and encounters with sexism in their daily lives. The next hashtag is to share experiences of sexual assault and sexual harassment. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is a piece by Dorothy Allison called 2 or 3 Things I Know for Sure. And I'm going to take kind of what she talks about in this essay, connect it back to these tweets and these hashtags. So one quote from this piece that quote, "My theory is that talking about it makes a difference. Being a woman who can stand up anywhere and say I was 5 and he was big, so let me say it." She has this theory that she talks about throughout this piece that talking about your experiences and talking about things that happen to you helps you not only cope with realizing that it happened and accepting that and trying to move past it, but also with then analyzing, why this happens. And so in these hashtags, these women are sharing experiences of sexism, assault, harassment, and, for them, talking about it makes a difference, just like Dorothy Allison is saying. They are sharing these experiences in order to kind of lift a burden off their shoulders of holding that as a secret. And they're also trying to reach out to people and say, this happens, this is my experience, I'm the only one that can tell this experience. And these hashtags are just providing women a space for them to do that. And a lot of them use it as a way to take back their power or make sense of their situation and their experiences, which is something that Dorothy Allison talks about in her piece, is about how through telling her story and her stories, she that then was able to make sense of her situation and make sense of what was happening to her. So next I'm going to talk about 2 points that were brought up from Shari Stone-Mediatore's piece on storytelling and narrative. So she talks about various benefits that storytelling has to feminist theory, and I'm going to highlight 2. So the first one is that storytelling can link experience to critical insight, meaning by talking about your experiences, you can then analyze and figure out why these things are happening and what oppressions they're stemming from. So these hashtags letting people talk about their experiences, and then it provides a dialogue between different Twitter users talking about, this happened to me too. Why is this happening? What kind of patriarchal ideas or gender roles are these stemming from? The next benefit she talks about is storytelling as a strategy of resistance. So basically, if you are told your whole life that this is something you don't talk about, talking about it is a way to resist that and say, no, I am going to talk about this. This is my experience. It's important to talk about it. And that's exactly what these hashtags are doing. They're telling stories and talking about things that, people often push aside or say, no, you're just complaining. So that was my analysis of these 2 hashtags created by @everydaysexism on Twitter. And once again, those hashtags were hashtag everydaysexism and hashtag wheniwas.